what was the most challenging part for you in this journey?
I want to do USMLE. I do want to stay in India. I do want to do more and all that stuff, but medicine never hit right with me. Like I was telling my mom, I really want to leave.
Was there any point where you had where you questioned yourself that is this what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life?
That was a bold move that I took, and I was like, okay, fine. I want to do radiology. I want to do IR, and I don't want to stay in India, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And I remember the first day I entered into IR suite, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm made for.
How did you find the rotation?
So DR rotations are like really, really hard to get in.
We have a special guest today with us. Is there a culture of doing USMLE?
USMLE is very new.
કેવી રીતે કોઈ માણસ આજના ટાઈમમાં અમદાવાદ જેવા સિટીમાં પોતાને એસ્ટાબ્લિશ કરે? Getting into MBBS, how did your life change? Our guest today is a special guest. The only reason that she's special is because she has break a lot of stereotypes with one journey. First is that she has chosen a program which not a lot of IMGs prefer, which is Interventional Radiology. The other thing is that it is a very high demanding field, and usually it seems like it's a male dominant field. And being a woman, she has gotten it and she is going to do a great job at it. That is the feeling I have. And the third thing is that she is also a visa requiring candidate. So all of this makes her journey extremely unique. And I think it's an inspiration for all of the people, and especially women out there who are watching from around the world, about how you can do anything and sky is the only limit. So I'm going to hand over the floors to Harleen. And if you could introduce yourself in a few words to us.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really flattered to be here. And when I posted that, like the post on LinkedIn, I wasn't expecting this, but I did want to share my journey. So thank you so much for giving me the platform to do that. My name is Harleen Kaur. I'm originally from India, from Punjab, and I did my med school at Pune. And I'm matched in IR at St. Louis University. So, and I'm currently a postdoc at MGH. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. So what in this crazy world made you want to do IR and choose IR?
So, you know how you're also from India, right? So NEET UG is like you're just thrown into it. You don't think a lot about it. That was kind of the same for me. And I wasn't sure about even continuing medicine to begin with. And I was thinking about it. I want to do USMLE. I do want to stay in India. I do want to do more and all that stuff. But medicine never hit right with me. I wasn't always sure of that. And then I started thinking about radiology. Already radiology is like a tough branch in India to get into. And in the US, of course, it's worse. But even with radiology, I was always like more procedural type of person, but I knew I didn't want to do surgery. And then like somehow one day I just stumbled upon it. I looked into it, I liked it. And then I just decided I want to do IR. So that's how I got into it.
Okay. I think you like adventures. That is the feeling
Yes.
I get. But can you describe me about your high school? How was it? And then how did you transition into medical school, and what changes have you seen?
So I'm from a really, really small town. It's called Naba, and my high school was just, I think, like pretty much like everyone else. You're studying, and then you get into those foundation courses that those classes are selling. And then I got into I just took a test one day, and my mom forced me to do it, and And I did score well. They were giving me scholarship to join like the biology. I think it's called science, whatever. And I just like joined it. Like I went to Delhi to do all of that, and then I scored well in my NEET UG. And after that, I knew that I didn't want to stay in Punjab because I wanted to explore more cultures. As you said, I'm an adventurous person, so I wanted to see what's out there. So that's how I came to Pune. So yeah.
And then how was Pune for?
Pune was hard, I would say, because med school is just hard for everyone. It's just a new world. You have to study a lot. You're not expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. Like, I remember my first week, I was like, do I really need to remember all the nerves and vessels supplying everything in the body? Is this how it's supposed to be? And then, like, I was telling my mom, I really want to leave, but since they have a bond, you cannot leave. And that's how I had to, just continue doing it. And also, the culture is different, language is different. It took me a while to get used to that, learn language, find my own people, and so I would say that was like something I wasn't expecting, but it also helped me grow and it gave me so many more opportunities. I met a lot of people that I wouldn't have, so many experiences that I wouldn't have if I just stayed. And I also met people who wanted to do USMLE, and that's how I started my journey. So that is something that was like the most important. I found people to do this journey with.
Okay. So let's drill down into your journey. So when did you decide that USMLE is going to be your path moving forward? And how was your timeline with the steps?
So my timeline, I believe, wasn't the ideal one. And if I had to go back and redo it, I would do it a different way for sure. But so there's a lot of people going out of Punjab, like it's a stereotype and it's kind of true. So I always had this in my mind. I never decided to do it. Like I had this thing that I want to go out, maybe UK, maybe US, or I was still exploring the options. And as I said, like I was not very sure about medicine. And everyone around me, like not even a single person, they were all like, oh, if you want to do medicine, then only you should consider USMLE. If you want to do something else, then maybe just stay here and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I wasn't sure of doing this till my internship. And internship is when you have to decide, like you either prepare for NEET or your steps. So like there was no way I could have delayed it even more. So that was a bold move that I took, and I was like, okay, fine, I want to do radiology, I want to do IR, and I don't want to stay in India, so I'm gonna give it a shot. And so that's when I decided. So my internship, like the first 3 months, I prepared. Like you can, at least in India, I'm not sure how you do it in other places. At least in my college, you can decide what blocks you want to do. So I chose the easier blocks of internship to start with when I was preparing for my steps. Like I took 3-4 months to take my step 1, and after that I started looking for electives. And I think like I took my exam in August, and I had applied to most of the places by October, and I took my electives in like the next year. I extended my internship like around Feb to May. I was doing electives. Then I came back, and like by the time like of my last elective, I started preparing for my step 2 as well. So I prepared for my step 2 for maybe like 6 months. Then I took that, and then after that I graduated, finished my internship, did everything else, and that was pretty much it. But if you already are like sure about this, so what that made me do was I took my step 2 in November, and you have to apply for like for the match in September. So if I had already decided, I would have done it like maybe taken my exam before, then gone for electives, and I would have been able to apply the even last year. And that's I think that's more ideal. Take your step one during your med school years, and so, like while the knowledge is fresh. Take your step two in the internship, like start your internship preparing for your step two, take that, and then after that you go for electives. Everybody remembers you, you make your connections, and it's easier for them to vouch for you as well, like in the same cycle, and you're not wasting another year. And also um, yeah, like the people help more, so it's more helpful. Like that's another way, but that's how I did it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that sometimes when we are back home, we are in a hurry that let's go to the US and start moving
Yeah.
there. It also feels so slow that step one and two is taking a lot of time. You have this inherent wish of going there. But I think if you slow down and finish your steps and then come here, I think it can be
Yeah.
very helpful and freeing
Yeah, that's true.
because of the fact that how demanding the life is here when we come from India. It is a completely different ballgame,
Right.
but we can go into that later.
Right.
But how did you find the rotations, and what do you think helped in securing those positions?
So most of the rotations require you to do step one. So I think that was one thing. And of course, you need to have all your documents in place. So when you're starting the journey side by side, you have to start working on your transcripts and Puller's clearance and all that stuff that they require TOEFL scores. So I had we all had started looking into it. I and like a couple of my other batchmates were doing it. So before I even started preparing for my steps, I like started working on all that. But my college is not very supportive of people going to the US. So they were not like, you need signature from your med school and permissions and all that stuff. So I wasn't getting that. And also there are VSLO programs, and there are like very few colleges I think in India which have that. So the options were very limited basically for me. So I did my rotations at Cleveland Clinic and UAB. UAB is easy, you just pay for it, you get the elective. So like I think most of the people can do it. But for the other Cleveland Clinic, it was one thing that, like they have it on their website. So I didn't do anything extra. I just applied through it, and I think they don't look at a lot of stuff. Like they just need the documents, and I think that's how it is at most of the places. But I was doing an IR, and there are not a lot of people who are applying for it. So I think that's one advantage we get, the radiology applicants over medicine, because there's so many people applying. So it's harder to get electives in other branches. But once I got there, I met a lot of people and at Cleveland Clinic, and most of them had come through like emailing or like knowing the doctor, and then they were asking the admin people to get them in. So I think for radiology, it might be easier if you just directly apply through the website. But for most of the people, I think the way to go is also like making connections and just emailing a bunch of people. Also, a lot of people have alumni networks, so they get it through that. So if you have that, make use of that.
Okay. That is interesting for me as well to know that different fields there are less applicants, and I didn't know you could get a rotation in whatever field you wanted. That's amazing. And I want to just make sure that you did all your electives in IR, or was it DR as well and a mix?
So DR rotations are like really, really hard to get in. IR, not a lot of people are applying. DR, the bigger competition is American graduates rather than IMGs. And I was lucky that there's during May, M3s are shifting to M4s, and around May or those months, and they're not doing rotations. So I was there and at Cleveland, and I approached the administration and the program coordinator and asked her, and she was like, okay, this month we don't have a lot of AMGs, so maybe you can do it. And that's how I got my DR elective. But everywhere else, most of the time it is virtual, which is just, you're wasting your money and time. You want to be in person with the doctors. That's how you build your rapport. And that's the problem with DR electives. But IR, the other two were IR. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So two electives in IR, one in DR, and that is all the electives that you did?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. And what kind of a role did you get when you got into an IR elective? What did your day look like?
So I started at Cleveland Clinic for my IR, and the doctors there were really helpful, and I was scrubbing in from the first day. But IR was very new to me, as it was for most of the med students. So that elective, I was just learning most of the time. Like, I was scrubbing in, I was assisting, and they were teaching me, we do this and that, and I would go home, I would read up about it, and it was more like a student, like they would let me do small stuff during the procedure. By the end of the elective, I was doing more stuff, but I was there from 7 a.m. and I would come back by 6 or 7 p.m. So it was kind of like surgery elective. Like, I was there a lot of hours. And the second elective, since I had a lot of knowledge from the previous one, they let me do more stuff. And it was kind of like acting internship. So I was taking consults. I was also like, they did let me do a few procedures by myself, skin to skin as well. So that was really cool. And so I did get a lot of exposure, and I think that helped me a lot. And the second one, I actually spent more time, and I would come very late. The DR elective was very chill, and it was like morning 9 to 12 maximum, sometimes like 1 or 2. And that was more like you're just sitting there, they're reading the scans, and they're just telling you this is what you're looking at. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But IR electives, I did get to do more stuff.
Mhm. So when you say get to do more stuff, what kind of procedures or things that?
So Cleveland Clinic has a lot of complicated cases coming to them. So there were a lot of oncology stuff. There's TACE, TARE, I'm not sure if you know it, but transarterial chemoembolization, radioembolization. So those procedures, and there are bread and butter cases like putting in the cats and stuff. Then you have tube exchanges, putting in new tubes, IVC filter, and like there are like a lot of procedures happening. And I could choose to go like work with whoever I wanted to. I could see one procedure in one room, and then if I got bored, like go in some other room and do their see their procedure. So it was a bunch of stuff. What I got to do was like during angioplasty, just inflating the balloon, that type of stuff. And there's also like,
Okay.
it's a small thing, but there's a technique to it. You don't want to fill it up very quick because the vessel can burst. And like very small stuff. But what I was learning the most was the OR etiquettes and how it goes. Because in IR you work with catheters, wires, and there's a very specific way you do it. Like, you have to flush it, and then only you can put it, and just like there are a bunch of stuff, and which is very different from what we've learned during our med school. So I was learning most of that.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting because here people have a different kind of protocol of doing
Yeah.
things, and it's extremely particular.
Yeah.
Stepwise,
Yes.
there are a lot of steps. Initially, you would be like, "What is
Yeah.
going on?" It's like riding a plane, and then it's like then you get
Yeah.
comfortable. Maybe it gets
Yeah,
better.
that's true.
But so that's amazing. So it makes me feel that like how competitive is IR, and what kind of what was your score basically? I want really want.
My score was actually average, and I did feel like that did impact my whole application and interviews and stuff. My score was 246.
Okay, so I mean, 246 is not average for
Not for
me.
medicine,
I mean, it's a
but
good enough.
oh yeah, you were
Yeah.
asking me how competitive it is.
Yeah.
IR is, I would say DR is getting more competitive now because if you want to get into IR, you know it. Like most of the people take radiology for the work-life balance, and they don't want to be getting called in to do any procedure at 3 a.m. in the morning. So there are like more people in DR versus IR. But since IR positions are so less, even if there are lesser number of people interested in it, it's still gonna be competitive. And with all the visa stuff going on this year, I think the IMG match rate was like lowest in the past 5 years, and so it is competitive, and there if you cannot, it's hard to compete with an AMG. If there's one position, there's an AMG, there's you, they're of course they're gonna pick them. They know
Yeah.
how they like their training was, their grades, and like it's easier for them to know if that person is more reliable. And for IMGs, they do look at the scores more. For DR, they all like most of the people who've matched, their scores are in 260s. And for IR, even for AMGs, it's different. For IMGs, like these are the score for IMGs. And for IR, like I matched at 246. I don't know other people who've had this score, but most of the people I know, their scores are in like 250, 260.
But what is the kind of match rate that
I think it was 20% this year. It was like I'm not sure. I didn't look into the stats myself, but this is what my friends told me. There were like 80 IMGs who applied, 80 something, and like 16 or something matched into IR. So very low.
I mean, it's low, but it's better than 5%, which is great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Okay, so as we move forward, I wanted to ask that when you were rotating through IR, was there any point where you questioned yourself that is this what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life? Because it is a taxing and high stress life, right?
No, never. I remember the first day I entered into IR suite, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm made for. I always like I was kind of I came in confused, and I was very sure after my electives that okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And I think if you get that feeling in any branch, you should definitely go for it.
Yeah, but I think that requires the exposure to that
Yes.
field, and you got your due for the exposure, and that's amazing because I think that is very crucial when you are doing a rotation, that you have to be supremely enthusiastic, and if you don't love it shows. If someone likes it, if someone doesn't like it, I think that is a major factor which is very subtle and not easy to explain.
Yeah, it's just I think the body language, and they pick up the vibes. It's easy to pick up though. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. It's not for everyone. But okay. The next thing that I wanted to ask was that how did you discuss your journey with your friends and people about IR? Because I have not personally heard a lot of people apply to IR. So how did you find mentorship for it? Who would you speak to? And who was the one guiding you through this journey and navigating?
So that's true. Even I didn't know anyone who was applying to IR until I got here myself. So from my college, there was no one helping me out, and all the people that I found was during my rotations. And that's why like I believe rotation is like they're one of the most important part of the whole USMLE journey. And during my IR rotations, I was the only one who was there. So they had like only one student rotating. So I didn't meet a lot of people then, but I met like there were other IMGs, and like we had a group. I think that's how it goes at most of the places. Indians are like quick to form groups, so we had this group, and I knew other people who knew other people. who were applying to radiology. So like they were mutual, so that's how I got in touch. And I was talking to them, and there are people like, for example, other fields, surgery, they are also applying to a competitive branch. So the way we do things, it's kind of similar. And like you have to find your mentor. It's a non-negotiable. You need to have someone vouching for you, and you need to do, like, there are people who do a lot of rotations, like 5 6. I don't think that's necessary. And but you do you. But during my rotations, the people that I was rotating with, they helped me a lot. They put me in touch with other radiology applicants. So, and then I was at that time active on Twitter as well, so there are more radiology people there. And like I just that's how I met, like started talking to other applicants. So it was like a bunch of stuff, just basic networking. One person leads you to another. And during my DI rotations, there were other radio applicants that were rotating with me, and we kind of did the whole journey together. And they have their own friends, and like you have your people, and like it's just a mix of all those things. But basically, when you go to rotations, make sure to have good rapport with at least one doctor who can help you further. And you should know like who's going to help you, who's not going to help you. You're there for a very limited time, and you should invest that in someone who's going to help you later. So that is something, the judgment you need to have, and that's going to help you later.
So Harleen, as you are describing this experience, which is very easy and a smooth ride, it comes with a lot of complications. And I don't think it is that easy as how you make it sound to, get through the way it's friends of friends. You have to be extremely proactive. You have to go against all your inhibitions and move through, push through that, which is easy for some people, which might not be easy for other people.
Oh no, it's hard for me. I'm an introvert. I don't like to. I had to force myself. Some days I would be like sick. Oh, do I need to talk to these people again? But then I had to push. And you have to keep in touch, and that's really, really hard. What do you talk about to those like mentors? Like you cannot just tell them, oh hi, I saw this beautiful rainbow today, how are you doing? You need to have something. So it's hard, and you need to be doing something so that you can share. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did my step 2. And then I would email them, oh, I'm at this point in my journey. And that's how I kept in touch with them. Oh, I applied for this position, I just finished this project, or like just stuff like that. And you need to be doing like actual stuff. You cannot just you need to have something for them to respond to.
Yes. So a few things that you can use, as you mentioned, are working on some projects or research with them, writing a case report, which was interesting, just coming up with new articles that you find interesting, sharing it with them and speaking about it, reading about it so that you know what you are going to talk about. And it is an extremely tedious and a very arduous process. But the question is that there is where the question is that on day one, the moment you felt that this is what I'm gonna do, so everything is on the side. Then you are just going at it without even knowing, and you are enjoying that journey, because the more you do it, the more better experiences you are getting, and it inspires you to do more. And I think that's the confidence. I don't know if you were that confident on day one, but I think confidence is a thing which is a build up. It's like going to the gym every day. Today 10, tomorrow 12. I think it's the part of the process. And I think step 1 to getting the rotation, every step where you move ahead is a part of the process. And I see that how confident, I don't know how you were before, but today you are extremely confident because of this that you have achieved. And it is not an easy feat. What you make it sound like it is an extremely great thing that you've done. So more kudos to you,
Thank
Harleen,
you
for
so
that.
much. Uh,
But I want to now move to the next part of it, that I think you are doing. A lot of people might have discouraged you on this journey as well, right? And what kind of challenges did you face, and what was the most challenging part for you in this journey?
uh, I think the biggest challenge was just finding people, just knowing what to do. I don't come from a medical background. I don't have, my parents were very, very supportive, and I think that helped me a lot. I would tell them, I want to do this, I want to do, they'll be like, yeah, do whatever you want to do. But they cannot help me, or like they cannot introduce me to someone or tell me, oh, this is how you should be studying, or this is how you should be doing this and that. And I was like, till I found people during my rotation, I was kind of going at it blindly, and I didn't know what to do. And the more I was talking to people, like I have that habit, and I think that helped me a lot. I'm always like analyzing what I'm doing. I'm always talking to people what they're doing, and if they think what I'm doing is right, or what extra I can do, or like how I should go about it. So even the mentors that I told you about during my rotations, they were the people who were like, you should, always have a plan B, and you should maybe apply to medicine, and if you still want to do radiology, then you can just reapply to medicine, like radiology. And I was like, no, that's like a lot. I don't want to do my medicine residency and then go to radiology. And there were like zero people who were encouraged, zero. Like, I am not over saying this. And even the applicants, and once I got my score for it, that's not what I was expecting, honestly, and not other people were expecting. And the day I got my score, I was like, I'm done, I cannot do this, and I should just drop the whole journey. And even my fellow applicants, they had like their scores were better, and they were like, oh, maybe you should also apply to other specialties just to not go unmatched. So like all the people who were there were telling me not to do, basically. And it was hard, and with my college not being supportive, it was hard to even take the steps to even study, and there was just a lot of um, problems that we all had to deal with. Just like getting the documents is like, you don't think, maybe like it sounds like it's just one thing, but it's really important. If you don't get your certification, it like the programs can see it if you don't get it on time, and then of course they're not gonna rank you, or they're not gonna like give you the interviews, and just it's a whole process. It's very stressful, you don't know what you're doing, and it was hard, but I just kept going. I don't know why. I just had this feeling maybe it'll work out. And it did work out. So yeah. But I remember one interview. It was a surgery prelim interview, and they were like, what's your plan B? And me being naive, I was like, oh, I don't have a plan B. That's how I don't want to think about not getting matched. I want to do my own blah blah blah. And he's like, you really need to have a plan B. And that was really late in the interview season. It was like January, and I'm rethinking my whole strategy, and I'm thinking maybe I should have had a plan B, maybe this is not gonna work and all that. And I do like encourage having a plan B, but I think if you are like, if you know what you're doing, I've had a feeling like whoever was telling me, they were not having the same experiences as me. Like, you're the best judge of your experiences. You know how you're doing, what's gonna work out, what's working out or not. And I thought that like, even if I didn't match, I was already like doing this postdoc position, so I could do more research. I had that time to build connection. Like, I did have some plan, maybe. I think those times my mom was the most helpful. Like, I would tell her everything. Oh, this is happening, and she'd be like, "It's fine. Just it's gonna work out and all that." And when you're down at that time, you need someone close to you to help you out with that. There's like no other way I can at least imagine doing it. But so whenever like people were discouraging me and all that stuff, I did like think about, like I told you, I thought of dropping the whole process when I got that score. But at that time, like I had also invested a lot of time already in it. I'm done with my internship. I'm sitting there in my house, doing nothing but basically like, USMLE stuff. And it was harder for me to throw all of that in the trash and just give it up. So I think the more time you invest, the more there's like more pressure to do it. That does help as well. So, and just also like having friends um, who are going through the same journey. Everybody's like playing their own part, and you have to take advantage of that. You have to tell yourself, step back and look at it and see where you've come, and then analyze your whole strategy again. Do it smartly. No, the scores only are not going to help you. Rotations only are not going to help you. It's a combination of everything. You have to realize that. You have to see where you are. You have to look where you're lacking, and you have to fill that void. My original strategy was going to be, oh, I'm going to study, I'm going to get like 260s, and that's just going to help me with everything. And after that, I'll just work for whatever. Like you have to do that rural bond, so I'll just pay, like work off my bond, apply, and this. That's how it looked to me. Once I got the result, I realized that I need to put in more effort now, because this itself is not going to help me. So I started reanalyzing the whole thing. I also realized this USMLE is very connection based. So you need to have connections. I started emailing a like bunch of people. I was using also ChatGPT for it, what to do, how to email. That helped a lot. And I was just on Twitter. There are people who post stuff after their match. This is my mentor. They help me a lot. So you know that these are the people who help, and you make a note of that. I had like screenshots of all those people and who their mentors were. I started emailing everyone. I need to have a good CV first for them to respond me back. So you have to build that CV as well, which is during med school. Like you have to be working on it. And then I realized, okay, now I have my network settled down. Now I need more publications. So started working on like different projects. Even during rotations, I had target, like I need to get 2 publications out of each elective, because you are spending so much time, so much money on that. And I'm not like a very rich person. Even for like rich people, it's getting harder, and you have to take most out of it. So you need to have people like your fellow applicants that are going to help with your application. You're down, you talk to them, they help you like push yourself up. That's how it goes. You have to have mentors. That's a different thing. And also, like if you're working with them on some research, and if you get that published, that shows them that you go through the whole process. And getting published is difficult. You can start a bunch of stuff, but getting to the end point is difficult. So I was doing that. I got a bunch of publications from there. And then I was working with other people. And even when you're working with other people, you need to be smart about it. You cannot be just like working with random people who are not going to help later. So you have to know, oh, these people help them, so maybe they will help you as well. So like it's a lot of calculations you do, and it's correct, not as easy as as it sounds, but you have to be really smart about it. That's like the biggest thing.
Yes. So I definitely understand how you navigated through this, and it must have been challenging. And I also wanted to ask that was this your first cycle?
Yeah, this was my first cycle.
So one thing that I noticed about you is that you are a super quick learner, and
Yeah.
you can improve right as you go. which is amazing. And I think that is why you matched for during your first cycle. It took me 2 cycles to realize what is happening. So that is why you're in IR. So that's great. I think you are going to have to navigate through a lot of things as you go through. And also, I wanted to ask that what were the things that you've done outside of medicine with throughout your life, which you think has helped you in your journey?
I think I'm not a very extracurricular, like I do stuff, everybody. I am into music, I play instruments. Like there has to be something about your application that is interesting to them. That's for sure. And that cannot be, forced. So I was into a bunch of stuff, but there are stuff like sports, and that helps a lot of people, and I didn't have a lot of that. But I did have my routine set. I have to go to gym, I have to do my yoga and whatever. And I think those also help me after you're having a really down day. That helps to reset. So it didn't directly impact my IR journey, but of course, it had its own benefits to it. And I think that helped me. Like, that was one of the biggest things that kept me sane through this whole journey, because it's a long one and you need to have something. And even during application, like, I had some people tell me it's better to have like a complete application than focus on your electives more. Like, you get those 10 experiences that you can put on the application. And I chose one of them to be my extracurricular. And I talked about yoga and powerlifting and stuff. And you look like a more interesting candidate, actually. And I know there are people who fill those 10 columns with only the academic stuff. Maybe that works, I don't know. But I feel like all these things help you, like, in general, just stay on the line. Like, it just helps you in different ways.
Definitely. And it also gives you different perspectives. So, and I think if you are into powerlifting, as you say, then it is a journey that you've seen that it is not easy to have that discipline, and
Yeah.
you learn a lot from it as well. So as you have tried different things, I think it really shapes the way you think about things. It gives you an idea into how different people approach that specific field. You can learn something
Yeah.
from that and here and there. And I think that is why, and especially the world that we are moving into with all this AI, I think if you
You-
don't look everywhere
Yeah,
and
you
learn
need to
something
have
from
an
it,
anchor, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
there are things which these things are extremely helpful. So that is why I wanted to know that maybe there was something about that side of you as well. And now I wanted to ask about specifically about the interview experience. How was your interview experience, and what do you think they are looking for in a candidate for IR specifically? Because you need to have a different kind of personality for IR. Not
Yeah.
everyone is meant for it. So what do you think it is?
Um, I took, actually, I did interviews in like 5 specialties: DR, IR, and for prelim I was doing medicine, surgery, and transitional year. So like I can
Amazing.
actually, so I
Okay.
do have a comparison. So DR interviews were very chill, and most of them, like, they were asking, oh, what do you do in your pastime, your hobbies? So things outside of medicine, they come really important there. And you would find people who have the same interests, you bond in that, and you can talk more. And I think DR interviews are very chill. They just, most of the time, they just want to know who you are, and rest of the stuff is on your application. But for IR, they were more technical. So my SLU interview, I remember they asked me, give me the indications and step-by-step procedure of, like, any one procedure of your choice. any bread and butter procedure. So bread and butter is the most basic procedure. And I was like, I was not expecting that. My SLU interview was the first IR interview. And I was kind of like shocked and confused what to talk. And I did choose a really like weird procedure. And my rotations were like more than a year ago. So I remember like not everything. So I got really scared after my interview. And I do remember like it was 1 a.m. by the time that interview got over. I was back in India when I was taking it. And I got so sad. I remember I went out to just get an ice cream to get over the shock. And for the rest of all the next IR interviews, I was just going through all the procedures that I like. If they ask me, I can talk about that. So they were really into that. Like even my publications, I had 4 or 5 IR ones, and they were mostly case reports. So they were asking me, what did you do? Like very specific questions. It was a very detailed one. And I don't think anyone asked me about my hobbies or stuff in that interview. So it was really different from DR interviews. And the prelim interviews, even medicine, it was chill. I guess they ask you about how you talk to. It's more of like behavioral questions, I feel. And for surgery, same. It's more technical, and they're more, I don't like to talk about surgery, but and so like there was a stark difference. And IR people look at if you know about IR, and for that especially, I think rotations are very useful because you get that exposure that you can talk about later during interviews. So yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think the one thing that helped me match was that exact thing. It was like easy for them to know that, oh, I am genuinely interested in it. And it also, like your personal statement is also a giveaway, the way you write it. And if you're interested in the field, and if you're willing to put in your night hours, and like you're willing to put in a lot of time into that field. So that is something that they look at.
Okay. So I want to speak about personal statement and letter of recommendations specifically. So what kind of a personal statement was it for you for IR?
For IR, actually, my personal statement was better for IR than DR because, of course, I'm more interested in it. And I tried it, tried not to keep it generic, and I started working on it like a couple months before the application cycle. And I did also get it reviewed by my mentors, like the people that I met during rotations. I kept in touch with them. I also did a couple meetings with them to talk about how they think the application should be, how personal statement should be. I sent it to them and had them review it. I also had like a draft of it during my rotations. Like I would print that out and at the end of rotation just show them, and they would give me some comments. Like these were the small things I think that helped me during.
But what do you think about personal statement was, as you saw people refine your personal statement, what did you see and what do you think they wanted you to show about you?
So they want to see your journey. They want to see why you're interested in the field. So that is something your opening should be really snappy, really catchy. And that is one comment that I got a lot, that your opening, just work on it more. Um, Secondly, yeah, why you're interested in that field. And there should be a very cohesive, like it should flow very naturally. And the first like drafts were like all over the place. I was talking about 4 5 stuff, for you everything is important, and you want to put everything in your PS, but that's not how it goes. You have to choose what you want to keep, and it has to be like 1 or 2 big things. And that is I think that's how the second paragraph goes, like what you liked, how your experience was. Maybe you can slide in that this is how much experience I already have in the field. Like for example, for me, like I did 2 or 3 rotations, I was doing internships, so that shows them that you have done something. And then like the ending should always be like what you want to do with the field in the future. So that shows them what your vision is with the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. and and what do you think your CV? I'm sure you spoke to a lot of people while on the journey. What do you think was the standout feature in your CV compared to other people? Or what do you think? How does a good candidate be separated from a great candidate?
I think the way, like, it's not only about CV. I can talk about how the interview process goes because I did get the opportunity to talk to like two PDs. So I think that's better than the information that is there on the internet. Like that confuses you a lot. There's everyone telling you different stuff, but this is what they told me. They do look at scores. So when they open an application, they look at the scores. That's how they filter out, but that's pretty much it. After that, they look at the personal statement or whatever. Personal statement, everybody by now knows like it's an important part, but then there's the rest of the application. My The elective experiences helped a lot. So when you're doing electives, I feel it's better to do it in university programs. Like if you're not getting it, then you can do the private ones too, but mostly because they know those doctors. So if they wanna, like, if they're actually considering you, they can approach them and talk to them, and they would take their word. And so, like your elective experiences, that's something important. Then on research, I think one of the things that stood out because in all my interviews, everybody talked about my research, and I didn't have like 20, 30 publications like most of the people have. I mean, some have 100, that's bizarre. I don't know how to do it. But all of my reports, I was the first author, barring like one or two. So that was something I think that stood out. And I had a bunch of case reports, and they like did I think every IR interview, they talked about those case reports, and they asked me what the procedure was, what I did. And they also like very subtly asked me, oh, what did you do? What did you use? Just to check my knowledge of it. And so I think that was like something they do look at. And this year, ECFMG has changed. I think the pattern of the application again, and they've changed the research section, and they've made it like more quality over quantity or something like that. But like they are starting to look at first author publications over, when you do in groups. So I think that was another thing. So like scores, PS, elective, and basically the experience in your field, and then the research.
Okay.
And I think for DR, it's different. And for DR, research plays more role than that.
You mentioned that you work as a postdoc, right? I think that is one thing that I missed. So, how did you find that position? Is it a paid position or an unpaid position? Where do you do it? How did you find people to do it, and how does it work?
I think postdoc is also very important for any competitive field, including radiology. How I found it was again, the people that I found during meditation. So, most of the stuff was through them. So, it's actually important. So, they put me in contact with other applicants that did their postdoc at a place, and they got matched there. And that's how, like, I talked to that applicant, and then she told me about a bunch of people, like at MGH. She did it at MGH, and she told me a list of people who were helpful. So I like emailed all of them. So, and like besides them, I did like cold email a lot of people. So it was basically cold emailing, and also like people telling me, oh, you should approach them or whatever. And that's how I found this position. Um, for me, it did not help a lot because I joined in January, and like most of the interview season was already done. But I think it's like for my fellow postdocs when I came here, the PI, they like wrote them letter, and those letter are stronger because they've been working with them for a year. And like that's how you take use of this position. And like even if you don't get matched at the hospital, you're in, because you know which ones are IMG friendly and which ones are not. And most of the big places, like I'm at MGH and there's Mayo and all this, they are not very IMG friendly. So even if they're not, the PI is gonna help you like connect to someone else at some other hospital who will help you match at that place. Then coming to paid, this one is unpaid. And actually, most of the places, at least the big hospitals, since we are research and training, so the first year is unpaid. And
Okay.
after that, it's on you to get a grant and get funding. And then maybe you'll be paid. But most of the people right now in radiology with AI coming up a lot, most of the paid positions are going to like engineers and stuff. So it is hard in radiology to find any paid position anyway. So
But three learning points. One is postdoc. Postdoc, you can find it through cold emailing. You have
yes.
to be proactive and not lazy about it. Second thing is someone can connect you to somewhere for finding such positions.
Mhm,
And third is that paid, unpaid. If you want to do it, you just
mhm.
take it.
But I think it's a good investment. Like even if it's unpaid, it's a it's a good investment and it helps you a lot. So people like applying for at least competitive branches, they should consider it.
Yes, especially with IR, I'm sure you're going to
Mhm.
make a lot of money. You just mentioned that you don't come from a rich family, but you are going to be rich one day for sure. So that's
Yeah.
amazing, and I'm really glad for you. And what do you think is separates a journey from like an average candidate, and it's the just the part of the journey? What is an average
Mhm,
candidate in a journey who matches, and
mhm.
what do you think is an excellent candidate who matches?
I think it's how much, huh? That's a difficult question. I think an average applicant would have that same thing that everybody else is doing, and study, get a score, do 2 or 3 like research stuff, whatever you're doing, and then you get matched. That would be average course. And the extraordinary ones that have higher chances of matching, those who get more interviews and everything, the one big thing that separates them too is how much networking they've done and how much connections they have. Because it's like not only, and I've said this, I think, enough times, but it is actually really important because here, since you're coming from a different healthcare and they don't know how it goes in India, so they need to have someone telling them that this is a good person. Otherwise, they won't be, like, if they don't know, they're not going to rank you. And it comes in a bunch of different ways, and you have to network. You need to be more present. More people should know about you. That's one. Secondly, you need to know about your field. You need to have some stuff to talk about during interviews, when like they can see if you're an interesting person or not, if you've had any experiences or not. Third, the big thing that they're looking at is self-awareness. There are some people who think, oh, this you'll do, and it's a straight path. And there's some people who are aware of what's going on and what works, and they're socially more aware. And that is something they look at like during interviews a lot. Like that's one big factor that separates them. And that shows how you approach, and like that shows in your application, and that's how you get more interviews and stuff. So it's like a bunch of stuff, but the main thing is you cannot expect to do 2 or 3 things and expect them to just work out. You have to put in like you have to put in a lot. You have to do a lot of stuff, and it cannot, like, it's not like need PG, you just study, get a rank and get in. It's not going to be like that if you're expecting that. And if that doesn't work out, then you cannot be surprised that you didn't get matched.
Yeah, I think that is true. the journey here, I've noticed, is it makes you learn a lot of different skill sets, especially as you mentioned, social, soft skills is a part of it. And I still struggle with it. I think it is a constant process of improvement, but I think it really helps you navigate your way through different
Yeah.
situations, and
Yeah.
something that is really
Yeah,
important.
you're not in a protected environment
Yeah,
anymore. You're like in the real world. You actually have to, do stuff.
yeah.
And that thing, like, I think that's one big difference, and that actually attracted me to USMLE because the path is different, and the way, like, the person that you comes out of after like the USMLE journey and the basic journey, there's a big difference, and you can see it, and there's so much more personal growth, professional growth. You have to put in so much, and you cannot be just lazy. As you mentioned, you cannot be lazy at all, and you have to force yourself. You have to go to conferences, and you have to talk to people, and that's, oh my God, that's so hard. Like, just going up to people, introducing yourself, just talking, and you have to do it. You cannot just run away from it.
Mhm.
And the sooner you accept it, the easier it gets for
Yeah,
you.
that's true. But one thing that I've noticed, especially from after coming here to the
Hmm.
US, women
Hmm.
from India are super adaptable. I don't think men are that adaptable. I don't speak for
Not at
every
all.
man. But it
Not at
is tough
all.
for us to, I mean, it was tough for me. Maybe other men are better at adapting, but women are super adaptable, which is an amazing skill set to have. They are socially more aware, they are emotionally more intelligent in every way, which is amazing. And they know how to find their way. And
I
usually,
think that's with all the men, not
no.
only men from India.
I
I
don't know.
think women in general are, because we've been navigating this whole system from, since birth. So of course, it's
Yeah, it
easier
is.
for us
It is
now.
very supportive for you guys at the current times.
What is supportive?
Isn't
Nothing
it?
is
It is
supportive.
supportive. It is supportive
No.
because now soft skills. So I think men were dominating when there was hard
Mm-hmm.
power.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is no hard power. It is only soft power, which you guys always knew. Now only.
No. No, you cannot take advantage of the system that was made for you.
We have that.
No, I've had like people come up to me and say, "Oh, maybe you got matched because you're pretty." So the misogyny still exists. And that's just an applicant telling me. But you never know how the, what is it called? Resident selection committee, how they look at it. And at the end, it is harder for women. And I don't think it's fair to just say that we got
No,
it
it
easier.
is. No, I am not saying you got it easier. I'm just saying that you have worked for it and you've achieved it, which is amazing, and you've broken a lot of stereotypes. I think we began with
Hmm.
that discussion.
Hmm.
But that's amazing. And no one gets anything for being pretty. I mean, you still have to work for it, even though being
Yeah.
pretty has its own advantages, and we cannot deny that. That is true for everyone, right?
Yeah. True for everyone. That's right. Even
Yeah,
boys.
it's fine. So we cannot deny that. But now, any concluding points for the students who want to match into IR specifically?
For IR, I would say it's very, very important to know what you're getting into. There are so many people who think, oh, it's a cool branch. I do want to apply for it, blah, 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 but they don't know what it is about. And they can see it, and it's easier for them to pick. I've had like really competitive applicants and good score, good research, everything amazing. But their PS like didn't show that they're interested in that in IR. So they got a lot of DR interviews, but none of IR interviews. And I feel like that is because they could see that they're not interested in the field. Like IR people are very specific about that because there are a lot of residents who drop out later. who thought that they wanted to do IR and then they realized that they didn't. So now they're very specific about it. So if you do want to match into IR, you should know what you're getting into. You should have enough clinical exposure. You should have enough stuff to talk about, like IR, in the interviews. And I think that is the most important. Second would be, of course, research. You need to have some research because that not only shows your research skills, but like in general, like your discipline, you can get things done basically. And third would be networking. That would be like the most important. And you have so many stuff that you can do with social media and everything. It's just more easier. And even like a lot of doctors are themselves on social media. So it's easier for you to connect, easier for you to know who's helping, who's not. And, you just text them and email them. And that's how you have to go about it.
Yeah. I think with a lot of social media, it is getting easier, definitely, and it is everyone is on it, and I think you have to use that opportunity, and
Yes.
you just have to put yourself out there because
Mhm.
at home you cannot see.
Yeah.
You need to get up. So that's great. Thank you so much, Harleen, for being an inspiration and such a sport. And I'm sure you're gonna do amazing with your IR and you're gonna make a lot of money once you get a Ferrari. Take us on a ride sometime.
Yeah, I actually want a Ferrari. You're
Okay,
right on
okay,
that.
yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Aditya, for
all right,
having me here
of course.
and for your time.